So today after work, I decided I'm going to hike out to a sandstone shelter here in the Franklin Marion State Forest. And in this shelter, there are a lot of Native American petroglyphs. They're actually carved into the sandstone. So come along with me as I show you these. They are estimated to be about 1,000 years old. They're pretty cool. Like and subscribe for more things like this here in Tennessee. I love to do outdoor stuff in addition to all the caving that I do. So come along and join me as I take this 2-mile hike out to this bluff and then this shelter to show you these petroglyphs. It's just the end of the color changes here with the leaves. So a lot of leaves are already on the ground, but we still got some really pretty color. It's an awesome 66 degrees out here this afternoon, and we're just getting going on this hike. So I would say we're about halfway there. I've probably walked the good part of at least a mile, and we've got about another mile to go. So after 2 pretty long miles of walking, at least it's nice out here today, I have finally made it to the bluff, as you can see. So I'm going to make my way down to the shelter. Gotta be very careful walking on all this moss and rock. It's kind of slick. And now we're gonna make our way down and around the bluff. Man, it is just gorgeous out here today. So this is a really cool rock I just noticed. It's got a lot of fossils on it. These are plant fossils. This is sandstone. And all of these were formed when this was under the water, when this was an ocean. So for scale, it's a pretty big rock with some really, really cool fossils on it. All right, we're going to continue on to this shelter. Oh, this is pretty cool too. I love how the rocks and the trees kind of work together here. Look at that. That tree is literally growing out of the crack of this rock. Okay, so we are coming up on the shelter around this corner here, right up there. So this shelter was estimated to have been used about 1,000 years ago. It was used by the late woodland and the early Mississippian Native Americans. Obviously, it is in sandstone. It's in this giant bluff. Just to kind of show you the bluff. This bluff is probably 30 to 40 feet tall. And we are located here on the Cumberland Plateau. This is actually in the Marion Franklin State Forest. So this shelter is owned by the state of Tennessee. So it is somewhat protected. It is quite a hike to get here, obviously. They carbon dated some of the ash in here, or the charcoal on the walls. They carbon dated it to about 1050 AD. So again, that was about 1,000 years ago. And there's 4 panels in here. So once I get down into this shelter, I'm going to show you. This site is actually the only excavated site here in the state of Tennessee. So they do believe that this site was actually a shrine or a special use area for things such as ceremonies. And I'll show you some more of these up close here in a moment. This site was excavated in 1974 by a Dr. Duane King. They found 752 shards of pottery here, along with many numerous points. So there's several things in here of special worth showing. There's deer tracks, turkey tracks, some linear grooves that are associated with what we believe are pits. So let's take a closer look at this rock shelter here in Tennessee that was used about 1,000 years ago by Native Americans. So we'll start over here in this corner. This is where the deer tracks are and the linear grooves. There is also a sun. Let's see, there's a spider right there. So let me move that spider and I'll get a little closer. Okay, so just to get a little closer now, there are the deer tracks. Just put my hand in there for scale. So these glyphs are actually incised, which means they were carved into the rock. You can see here, this is a sun. And so again, this is incised. It's actually carved into this rock. Here is the deep linear line, which in this area we have a lot of vertical shafts that as cavers we call pits. So archaeologists believed that this was to represent a pit possibly in this area. And then there's some other circles here. And then the deer tracks again. And now we're going to go over here to this side and look at these. These are what are believed to be the turkey tracks. You can see it looks like from a turkey. Put my hand up there for scale, so you can see that's probably about 6 or 7 inches long. And again, it's incised, which means it's carved into the sandstone. Now this could represent the moon and the stars. So I'm going to step back a little bit so you can see that. We have this area over here on the left side of the shelter. Again, there's a lot more what appear to be the turkey tracks. And then there's a lot of these circular holes. So when they excavated this area, they dug, in 1974, they dug the ground out here, probably just about a foot or two. They dug it down, when they were excavating it, looking for things such as the pottery and the shards to help them figure out who did this and why they did this. And then the coolest one of all is this one right here. So I'll put my hand there for scale. Now I am not touching the rock here because I know that our hands have oils on them. So I'm just putting it close there for you to see, just for scale, to see this really cool carving here. Now I'm not quite sure what this would be. And then there's another one of the holes dug out. So I'll just step back so you can get the whole picture of this here. They would have had a fire in this area here. Maybe even hung some hides or something to block out some cold. They may have used it in the winter time. But they do believe it was a ceremonial site. All right, so I've stepped back out of the shelter here for a moment to give you another view. Let me zoom out a little bit there. So they would have sat in this little area here and had their ceremonies when they carved into the sandstone. And then here we are standing from the left side of it. It's actually a pretty big shelter here at the base of this bluff. And then I just took a step down below it. So just below the bluff, you actually can't even see the shelter down there. So it was pretty protected from the elements. And what a beautiful view. So this is another little spring just down from the bluff, maybe 150 feet. I'm going to get my flashlight out and we'll go in and check this out too. So this spring is seasonal, which means it only flows when there's rain or water running on the surface. We're in the fall, so this is actually our driest time of year right now, so it is pretty dry. 1,000 years ago, who knows what this spring was like, which is probably why it was a good site for them, because they had a source of water very close to that bluff. So let's just go in here and check out the spring. See what's going on in here. Looks like some critters frequently use this. Maybe some raccoons and squirrels. There are no petroglyphs inside the spring here. So you can tell the water just comes out of the ground here through that little crack. It's actually flowing. Right now it's just a very little trickle. So now we're going to exit this little spring and we're going to make our way back to the truck. So I hope you enjoyed this today, checking out some Native American history here in Marion County, Tennessee, from about 1,000 years ago, from the Native Americans who used this area. Like and follow my page, subscribe. That way you can keep up to date with other things that I do here in Tennessee. I love to do a lot of caving and outdoor things, especially historical things. Anything Native American or history related just totally fascinates me. So subscribe to my page to keep up with some future videos on things to do outdoors like this here in Tennessee.